The American version of baseball was introduced to the UK in the 1870s/80s. A decade later, it's estimated that over 90 clubs were created. In 1890, the National League of Baseball of Great Britain played its only season. Has not happened since. Professional baseball ceases to exist across the pond. However, our new friends sure do love this game. So we're bringing a different kind of pond to the party. A drunk one. One that is well lubricated with libations and sassy dry humor. Drunks in the Pond is going International Day. Grab your passports to hop on a kite with us to jaw all about this sport we love and loathe at the very same time. Gary from Brit Does Baseball is joining us. He just had his very first official episode released on the tube. Unfortunately, he's a sad Cubs fan from across the pond. However, he shares the love of the game. Let's get into this soon to be hopefully World Baseball Classic type episode. Don't forget to like, sub, follow, comment. This is the Drunks in the Pond crew. Saying stay drunk.
Cheers. Drunks on the Pond collaboration. You already know who it is. A Brit Does Baseball has joined us here on the pond. This has been something that I've actually been kind of wanting to do for a little bit. And I know Gary reached out probably about a month or so ago about doing this whole thing. And I was like, yeah, we definitely got to do this because if you guys don't follow him on Instagram, his shit pops off. He recently just did the City Connect tournament, who had the best jersey. Me personally, big fan of the Colorado Rockies one. I think it got eliminated pretty quickly.
As per your typical style choice.
Listen, it was a nice jersey. You just can't beat the Padres, and they're pink.
Yeah, but
they're turquoise.
Come on, dude. I don't care what anyone says. Two of them are super ugly, but I love them equally. I love the Boston blue and yellow. I don't know why. I do. It's just a good color scheme. And then I love the Marlins ones, dude.
The Marlins do have a nice one, and it's a shame you like the Boston ones because Boston doesn't even like it enough to keep it. Because from what I heard, they're getting new City Connects. But
yes, they are.
Gary, being a Cubs fan,
yeah,
what's it truly like? I mean, obviously, you guys broke the 108-year curse that loomed over. But like, what was that feeling like? Were you like a diehard Cubs fan when that happened, or was it kind of like a slow growth?
So, to be honest, I've only really been into baseball the last sort of 2 years.
Okay.
2023 was my first season following the Cubs sort of diehard game in, game out. I was aware of the 2016 sort of 108-year curse with the GOAT and all of that fun stuff, but it was a bit before my time. I know for a fact that the Cubs fans in general are sort of, they've had one World Series, they're kind of hankering for at least a playoff run. And unfortunately, in my 2 years of fandom, we have not achieved even getting into the wild card. So, yeah, it's a mixed bag.
I mean, I just one game last year.
I just find it funny that you became like a Cubs fan in 2023. So you kind of missed like the Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Javi Baez prime.
How did you settle on the Cubs? And like, why the Cubs of all teams? Like, something like that. Come on now.
That is a great question.
So my partner grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. I grew up as a Cubs fan. She's over in the UK. Sort of met her, and it was a way of impressing her, really. We'd been going out a year and a half or so, and I've always wanted to get into a summer sport. So I play rugby, and I'm into football, or I'll use soccer just because I appreciate. We're on an American podcast, so I use the word soccer rather than football. Those are
no, come on, we appreciate football.
Okay. So yeah, those are both traditionally winter sports over in the UK, and I was after a sport in the summer. So I was like, I'll give baseball a go. And I didn't want to be that guy that, okay, my girlfriend's a Cubs fan, so I'm going to go be a White Sox or a Cardinals fan. It's too difficult. So I was like, I'm just going to back the Cubs on this. Didn't know anything about them other than I know that I'd heard that they'd won the World Series in 2016. For it even made its way over to the UK. That's how long a drought it was. So that's ultimately why I settled on the Cubs, because I didn't want to be that guy that was. I could have been spiteful and picked the White Sox, but then I think if I'd have picked the White Sox in 2023, I think I'd be struggling at this point. So
Picking the White Sox would have been a fast ticket out of your love for baseball.
No, I don't think so. Listen, I've been a Browns fan since the 0-16 season. Okay, you
That's
have to
fair.
be a fan at the lowest, okay, to appreciate any type of success. And then when you trade away the success, it's okay. You just rejoice it, okay? Anytime he comes, I watch. I miss you. You know what I mean? I might send him some love letters, but it's all good, baby. It's all good. You got to be a
Hey,
fan of the worst team in the league. You know what I mean?
So
he's not wrong. I mean,
it's genuinely
yeah,
funny. It's funny that Damon says you gotta be a fan of the worst team in the league because, and Gary, you'll like this. I started following a football club over in England in the Premier League. But I mean, I'll ask you first. Do you have a preferred team in the Premier League, or
No, I do.
you
I'm a Tottenham Hotspur or a Spurs fan.
goddamn
God,
Hotspurs fan?
what the?
So, so I made the giant mistake of deciding to become a Southampton fan.
Okay. How long
And
ago was that?
Just over the past couple years.
Oh, okay.
Like seeing the highs of winning the championship against Leeds was awesome. And then this entire season so far has just like bottom of the barrel. This sucks. I don't want to break Derby's record. I feel like it's going to happen. It's just not looking good. I hate it.
I do feel for you.
I mean, I've got family in Scotland, and they are diehard Leeds fans. So I grew up a Leeds fan, and I share in the sadness for the game. They have a solid club right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds are a fun club. They are historically been a very, very good team, and then kind of ownership caused them to crash in sort of early to mid 2000s. But Leeds are a fun club. That their fan base are very. They've got a little bit about them, let's say.
Passionate.
Yeah, we'll say passion. Leeds are a very, very fun team.
So you becoming a Cubs fan over the past couple years, it reminds me of something, and maybe Rich and Damon can both kind of agree with this. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon.
Can't say that I have, no.
So Jimmy Fallon in the movie Fever
thing.
Pitch is like a diehard baseball fan. And he starts dating a girl that doesn't know shit about baseball, but she goes to the games with him and she slowly becomes a Red Sox fan. I kind of feel like you're in like a little bit of a role reversal.
100%.
Like you and your girlfriend where she's like the Cubs fan and you're like, who's Steve Bartman? And everyone's like, we don't talk about that over here. Like, you shut your mouth.
No, I think that.
So wait, are you saying Gary is Drew Barrymore?
He could be Drew Barrymore. We could be talking to Drew Barrymore right now.
I would be so
That's
lucky
fair.
if you like Drew Barrymore. He is iconic.
Honestly, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? She's perfect.
I'd rather be Drew Barrymore than Jimmy Fallon. I know that much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore gets a lot less heat than Jimmy Fallon.
So obviously, like being across the pond, like it's not like you can just drive to Chicago anytime you want, go see the Cubs. And obviously, like the time schedules are so much different. Like if the Cubs play like a 7:00 game, it's already like 11, close to midnight over there for you. I mean, do you find yourself kind of just recording the games, watching them next day, or?
So the Cubs having the iconic sort of 1:20 in the afternoon first pitches at home have always been a big help because that's about 7:20 UK time, and sort of any East Coast games on a Sunday as well. That's never really been a problem. But for the majority, it's I've got MLB TV, and so it's a case of kind of just watching the full games the morning after, and sort of skipping through, all the boring bits slash when the other team is beating us, and just watching the fun parts.
How does it feel to be one of 90 people in the UK with MLB TV?
Truly honoured. At least we don't have blackouts.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Yes, that's a good win for you.
How big is the baseball fan base in the UK?
It's bigger than you'd think. I mean, for starters, everyone from America that sort of comes over to the UK and have sort of maintained their previous fandoms. Like, it's not like someone that comes over from the US will go, well, I'm in the UK now, so I can't like baseball or NFL or basketball, which is good, which, it's good for the game. It's definitely growing. I think the London series over the last few years have really helped that. I play for one of the London teams, actually, that sort of, it's all amateur baseball, and I'm playing at the real lowest level, but I'm sort of associated with that club, so I know a lot of people through that club that are also fans of baseball. And you have these, there's actually a Philadelphia style themed bar called Passy Young Avenue, and they are sort of known for showing all of the Phillies games and across all sports, but obviously they're known a bit more for being baseball. And you've got venues like that. You've got another venue called the 108, which has just recently opened, which is essentially, it's got batting cages, pitchers, mounds, and sort of bullpen, and like a full AstroTurf style infield. And that's where we do our winter training. So the reason why you'll see me in sort of athletic Under Armour gear, I don't live in this. I've just come straight from winter training this evening.
Oh, wow.
So all of those
good on you.
So yeah, all those sort of venues are helping grow the game even more. And you've got, I know Angels fans, Red Sox fans, Yankees and Dodgers are very big over in the UK, as you can imagine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's bigger than I think people think, and that's part of the reason why I'm sort of doing this whole podcast and blog thing. It's to show people in America that no, UK fans are enjoying baseball as well. It's not just you come over and it's a token gesture just to sort of build the fan base. It is actually working.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
so
awesome.
you said you play baseball out there as well?
I do, yes. Not to a very good level.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right, okay? My uncle went out to Australia after his career in the MLB, and I was thinking about it for a little bit. I was like, go out to listen, Australia's summers are the winters out here. I was like, I could do it, baby. I could go for something like that. And if you're telling me I could go across the pond and enjoy some baseball, okay? You let me know who to call.
Well, I play for. I'm part of the club called the London Mets, based out in Finsbury Park. So if you're ever in London, just drop us a note. Drop the London Mets a note. The games are free to watch, and it's
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's an organised league and everything, and we have a same sort of tier system. We've got single A, double A, triple A teams all around London, all around the country, really. And we also have something I think it's called the NBL, which is the National Baseball League. Level wise, it's not comparable, but we do have that set up. So yeah.
So what you're saying is I should recant what I said in the intro. There is a professional baseball league now.
Yes and no, it's not professional.
Okay, so how many of those guys from that team play on the World Baseball Classic team?
I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I think a few of them would have played in the London Met system, if we take that as an example. But in sort of the youth system, and then what they'll do is they'll go over to America for college, and ultimately try and progress that way. Because the college and university teams, yes, we do have universities do play baseball, but you're not going to get as far in the UK as if you would if you went to the US.
So you're telling me Oxford University has a baseball team?
I believe so.
No, I gotta go back to school, baby. I gotta go back to school. I'm so sorry for yelling.
Jesus.
I'm so sorry for yelling. He's out here telling me Oxford, baby. That's where Harry Potter went. Okay, I ain't playing Quidditch. I'm swinging a bat. What are we talking about, bro? You can't tell me to get excited to go back to school. I'm gonna be a lawyer now, bro.
Well,
what?
I guess Damon's leaving Drunks on the Pond to go play baseball.
No, hey. If we got Gary with, I could be here too, baby. I could be here. We could just scheduling times.
So, Damon, you brought up something really good. Gary, how do you feel about that World Baseball Classic jersey blunder?
Every podcast I've been a guest on has asked me that same question.
Well, I'm so sorry for being redundant, but your take on this is going to be something that I value.
I'll be honest, I really like the colour of the jersey, but if we're talking about the font of Great Britain, which I'm assuming what most people is what they're getting at, it does look like a 5-year-old did it on a Word document. So yes, it was terrible. If that's I don't want to badmouth GB baseball because I want to business to business, want to be friendly and don't want to get on their bad side. But yes, it was awful.
Look at it this way: I'm pretty sure they're probably not using the same jersey creator as last time.
I'd hope not.
But yeah, like that's the thing. Me and my family that's over in London and Scotland, they were like, I don't understand why they didn't go with like some sort of like monarch style font or some sort of like classical or anything that would have made sense besides basically a step above Comic Sans font.
I think you're doing Comic Sans a bit dirty there.
You might be right.
I'd like to think it was more of a shock that we'd qualified and we performed so well that maybe that part of the uniform was a bit of an oversight. And I'm hoping next World Baseball Classic that will be one of the most talked about points on the GB team was, oh my god, their uniforms looked really good.
You guys did qualify. Now, so that's good.
Yeah, we did.
That is a fair point that he made. Like when it comes down to it, like if you had to pick between like having the roster that plays well and have the jerseys that, may or may not matter in the end. Like, yeah, I'm taking a roster all the way. And,
Sure.
even looking at the Great Britain roster, I'm looking at some of these guys and I'm like, I know a lot of these names. And the one pitcher who made a start was Vance Worley, who was a Philly at one point. And I'm like,
Animal.
and I'm like digging deep. I'm like, how did Vanimal get to a Great Britain squad? Like, he was born in California. Like I don't know if
It could be
if one
through
of
your
his parents
grandparents or
through,
something like that. Yeah, it could
Exactly
be
that.
something as simple as
like,
that.
like I
Like, you
just
don't have to be British at all. You could have like a British grandmother, and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm British. I'm going to go play for them because I'm definitely not going to be able to play for the U.S. team. I mean, I
That's
ain't
why.
not against it.
That's why
You
Garrett.
gotta you gotta get it in when you can. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, like I said in the last one, not everybody gets to be the megalodon. Somebody's got to be the rockfish.
like it's just funny going through the roster because
What
then I
Garrett
saw
Stubbs
like
played for
Darnell
Israel.
Sweeney and I'm like, hold on, dude. Like, I know Darnell Sweeney. Like, that's definitely through a grandparent.
Well, Trace Thompson, who is Clay Thompson's
Thompson.
brother, plays for Team GB. He was on the roster, and I it didn't make sense to me when I looked at it. I'm like, that's just not a thing. And I haven't looked into sort of how he qualified, but exactly as you said, sort of grandparents, uncle. It's exactly the whole thing
Yeah, I
is,
think
I'm not going to make the US roster, so let me go play somewhere else. And it's the same with like the Italian roster, for example, like Miles Mastrobuoni,
Yeah.
Cubs legend, great name on the Italian squad. And it's like, you
fantastic
weren't
name.
born in Italy.
Say, didn't Lucas Ramirez just do that with the Brazilian team for the qualifiers? I'm pretty sure it was. I know it was one of Manny's kids did it
think
because
that
his
was him.
mom was Brazilian. But yeah,
I
he
think
just
you're right. I vaguely remember seeing that when they first brought up the World Baseball Classic tournament in what, 06?
yes.
I think. Yeah, I think that the rule was it's like 2 generations removed. I don't know if that's been rectified or changed at all, but it was, you have 2 generations. 2 generations is a lot. So it's not that far off for a lot of people. So it's interesting to see how many people could play for different countries. I mean, Didi Gregorius, he played for Netherlands?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
played for the Netherlands.
Yeah, and I don't think he was born there, but his parents lived there before he was born or something like that. So, like, I, I think it's gray area on a lot of things, but I don't think it's your immediate lineage. It could be a couple generations. So everyone's got a good shot, especially in these lesser baseball known countries. Like Garrett Stubbs. I'm pretty sure Garrett Stubbs has never even been to Israel, and he made their team.
I was gonna say Danny Valencia. I know played for them when
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
remember DV.
Yeah, you gotta respect the good old little Jewish boys making that team. Good for
Hey,
them.
but shout out to Danny because the first time I met him, he told me his name was Bartholomew, and I literally called him that for like a cool 2 months. And like, it's not like he
Shout
didn't
out
have a locker
Bartholomew.
tag right there. Yeah, bro, I was literally full on like Bartholomew, and then one day he's like, it's not my name, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, my name's Danny. I was like, oh,
The fact that he
my
got it on
apologies,
for 2 months before you even put it together is just straight
bro.
wild.
I'm listen.
Hey, Damon's present, not observant.
Yeah, thank you, baby. Like, I'm
It's a
here
fair way to put it.
vibing. Strictly vibes and entertainment, Kay. Don't tell me to play security because I'm letting everybody in the club, okay? He's got good vibes. He's got good vibes. I don't like the look of him, so he's just not coming in. He just doesn't have the vibes. But did they pay?
I don't like
Hell
her
no.
shoes.
Why do you think I'm ass? They have vibes. I don't like her shoes. They don't go with that. Why is she wearing football cleats trying to get into the club right now? That's not okay. That's not okay. Back of the
So
line.
the one thing I want to ask you is that, like, since you started the Instagram of Brit Does Baseball, you've gotten a lot of followers. Like, I think you're well over about 3,000 now. What was the moment where the page kind of took off and you were like, all right, like, we're really doing this?
It was more so. I started the blog and the page started in August of last year, and to be honest, it was a bit of a case of I'd go on to like the GB baseball and see people that were following that, sort of follow them just to kind of test the water, see if people would be interested in following us back, and lo and behold, they were. And then just having conversations with people on Instagram, like a good example is you've mentioned the City Connect jerseys. And just to go back on a previous point, I think the Rockies actually made it to the semi-finals. They were they ended up being won by the Montreal Expos because I needed to make a 32-team tournament, and
those Expos jerseys are good.
They were very nice. And I think it was the Tampa Bay Devil Rays were the finalists. So of the actual City Connect jerseys, the Rockies were one of the two highest. But just by doing that sort of fun interaction, which was actually an idea from one of our followers, because I think we did what we called a Beef King tournament, which was all of the big boys that play baseball. So Cal Raleigh, Alejandro Kirk, Vogelback would have been in it had he still been playing, Josh Naylor. We did like a tournament as to like, okay, these boys are weighing like over 200, 250 pounds and they're playing professional baseball. Let's rank them against each other and just have a bit of fun with it. It's completely harmless other than Jake Berger won that one. And off the back of that, someone suggested like,
as he should.
Yeah. His last name is the Burger King.
Exactly.
Sort of just having a little bit of fun with it. Like, I don't know many other sites that have done a Jersey World Cup where it took me about a month and a half overall because I didn't, you don't want to put everything out too early. And people would just be there commenting saying, oh, I voted against every single popular jersey in the vote possible. And just having those interactions, that's kind of when I was like, we could make something of this. And there are a couple of British blogs and podcasts out there. I guess I just wanted to be a bit different where, these other blogs and podcasts have like many writers and, I'm effectively, the podcast is, there's two of us who do the podcast, me and my co-host Dan. And it was important that co-host, I didn't mind them not being British. And the reason for that is because the purpose of this blog isn't just to build fandom within the UK. It's to also build knowledge of baseball in the UK over in America. So I'm trying to do it from both standpoints. And I think it's important to have American representation on there because there's a lot more knowledge that he has that I wouldn't have even ever touched on.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of the interactions I'm having with the followers and, they're responding to my stories I put an outrageous take. Like, for example, I did like the top 15 pitchers looking forward to in 2025 and totally forgot that the Philadelphia Phillies were a team. So there was no Zach Wheeler. There was no Aaron Nola.
Ouch.
It was ouch when I did the rankings, and as I was actually reading them out, I did it with the guys on Utah Street Banter, and they said Zach Wheeler, and I was like, guys, I'll be honest, I forgot the Phillies existed. And people would comment on that saying, well, where's Zach Wheeler? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I did the rankings on a podcast. I can't change them for the post, but it's just by having fun with people. And I thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose with a podcast. Let's just try it. And, hopefully the next sort of month or two, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, it's just interaction with the fans. I'm sure it's the same with you. It's you make a post out there to give knowledge to people that might not know that, oh, this player's made that move, but you like to have the interactions, and that's the whole part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Like seeing some of the stuff that like you post, and like we had mentioned before, you got the podcast off the ground, and obviously you can find that at A Brit Does Baseball on YouTube. Go to his Instagram, he's got the links for it. Find all his posts. But no, it's definitely awesome to see another blog from across the pond that's talking about baseball. And obviously the Phillies were over there for the London series this year. I'm not sure who's going over there this year. Do you?
We don't have a series this year. There was going to be a series in Paris, but they couldn't find a sponsor. So there's no sort of European series in 2025. Their MLB are back over in 26.
Yeah, they're doing the Tokyo series, obviously, like they do to kick off every year, which fantastic. Who doesn't love that? And then also you just have the three most defected players possible, who are the top former players in the league, playing in the series, which is fantastic as well. And they played against your Cubs. How do you feel that series went?
Well, there's two sides to it. There's one, the results side, which was obviously terrible. Cubs doing Cubs things, not really having an offense outside of John Bertie randomly, and Dansby Swan.
Which John Bertie being the offense is comical.
Yeah, I saw it was like 3 for 6 with 2 stolen bases, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty good. Obviously the results weren't great. The only other thing on that was I mentioned it in the podcast. Kind of the Shohei home run, I thought was a bit.
Yeah,
Well, not a bit. It was very bad. No way that was a home run, no matter how you want to paint it. And if that game was not being played in Japan, it wouldn't have been a home run. And people saying, "Oh, it doesn't make a difference. You lost by 6-3." It's like, yeah, but that would have been 5-3, and then you include the missed strike free call on Kike Hernandez before that, and all of a sudden, oh, it's 3-3, and that's a totally different game. So results wise, obviously, wasn't great, and not too impressed with kind of the umpiring out there. But for worldwide baseball, it was fantastic. I mean,
Absolutely.
the Tokyo Dome. I actually watched one of the exhibition games. I think it was against the Hanshin Tigers or the I think it was the Tigers. And when the Cubs were up to bat, everyone was nice and respectful. You didn't hear anything from the crowd. As soon as the Tigers came up to bat, you had drums going. The crowd was going crazy, a lot louder than you would in MLB. And that's just it's just a different atmosphere out there, and I think it's great.
It's like South American football.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, and people like the main thing was obviously they picked the Dodgers and the Cubs because of the Japanese players, which is the right decision to do, of course. And I think for the Japanese public to see their superstars performing well in Major League and then getting a chance to see Major League games, it's great for the sport. Outside of the results and the timing of the series, we've had to come back and now play some meaningless spring training games before the actual American side opener. It's great for the sport. I wish we'd split the series, but we didn't, and that's that. But yeah, for a spectacle, it was fantastic, and you can't knock it.
For sure.
Greatly appreciate that take. You nailed that. It showed me how much you've grown to actually like the game more than just a casual fan within your short amount of time. I mean, immediately bringing up the missed strike 3 call on Kike and saying that the game could have been a lot closer if this, and this didn't affect the outcome.
Yeah.
And this, and this were human error that made that happen.
Well, yeah,
so I respect.
I mean, the missed strike 3 call, yeah, that's human error. But the home run, I think, is a little bit more
designer.
Yeah, we'll go. It's Shohei in Japan. Of course, he's going to hit a home run. Did you guys come over to?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, did you guys come over to London for the London series last year?
No,
we did not.
But what did you think of it?
No, I did not have my passport yet. I will say that I thought the series was fantastic. I thought let me put this from a marketing perspective. I thought it was fantastic for the game, for the sport. They basically transformed your downtown into a baseball party, which was incredible to see. It got a lot more people 100% hyped about it. But I don't know. Being that it's baseball, and listen, as a lover of baseball for 30 plus years of my life, sometimes baseball can be boring as shit. It's tough to get people interested in it. Although it shouldn't be too hard to get a bunch of people who get really excited about a 0-0 soccer match into the 88th minute. So it's tough to try and decipher how it actually did, because obviously I'm not boots on the ground in London, seeing, fanfare and people walking around with jerseys, people walking around with any baseball memorabilia, period. Hats are one thing you can everyone wears hats across the world.
Mm-hmm.
You might see a bunch of little kids in Africa who just hopped off the back of a truck wearing Yankees hats. So it's nothing different about hats. I'm talking about jerseys, T-shirts, anything with a player's name on it to show recognition. And Jay and I have talked about this countless times. Damon's been involved. Player marketing in baseball is atrocious.
Horrid.
Individual player marketing is non-existent. You have Shohei Ohtani and then everyone else. And
yeah, but I feel like Shohei was the reason he's the anomaly is because, again, I don't know how many times I've said this. Before Shohei came to the league, he was already a superstar with a lot of these guys that get drafted as no-name guys. So the leverage that he had coming over here was just an impeccable leverage. I mean, better than any guy that you've seen come from Japan over here. But then on top of that, he had the results.
Minus Ichiro.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Throw the respect. You knew.
Thank you so much. That was perfect.
It's just been a while.
But yeah, no. Besides Ichiro, yeah, dude, it has. It has. I'll be honest with you, dude. I grew up in the baseball game and everything like that, so I don't really like to watch the game of baseball now. It's kind of digressed from what I grew up with. But yeah, dude, that's where I feel like Shohei's proven everything to where he's the worth of it. But yeah, when we talk about the player marketing, I also feel like it's kind of diluted because you have guys like Juan Soto that are, getting $765 million contracts. When are they really drawing that kind of money for the team? And I mean, maybe if we're talking about a
Wanker.
guy like Mbappe or somebody like that, or Messi that's in soccer, yeah, that guy can draw that much money to the team to where it's, no big deal. But I don't personally think that there's another guy that you can market like Shohei Ohtani. Aaron Judge maybe, but I mean, how do you get him on a global presence?
I think what baseball needs is its own version of John Cena. Someone who ends up learning 7 languages, becomes fluent in them, and is the biggest brand ambassador possible. Baseball needs their own version of John Cena. I mean, Make a Wish, that's never going to be beat. Sorry, Cena's got that one. No one will ever come close to that. But you need someone who can actually go out there and be infectious to the sport, gather people to the sport because of who they are. And it's tough. Marketing's a whole gross topic that we've exhausted.
Is that because baseball is kind of seen as like America's fourth sport, essentially, behind football, basketball, and hockey? Because you look
Okay,
at football,
ahead of hockey. Hockey's not. No.
but you look at like,
It's certainly ahead of hockey.
but like you look at the football players. Obviously, got the sponsorship deals, and Tom Brady, Gronkowski's got his own brand.
It's
Mahomes.
bare
No, we're
minimum,
definitely
guys. I mean, again, hold on. When we talk about the football teams and everything like that, you have 53 guys on a football roster. We're talking about 1 or 2 per each team. There's how many teams in the NFL? 30, 32.
30,
30.
So we're
32.
talking 30, 32, whatever it is. You're doing 53 times however many teams. There's about 1,500 guys we're talking about, and we're hand selecting 5 of them. So, I mean, can't really do it like that. When we go to basketball's a certainly individualized sport in the aspect of 1 player, 2 players can certainly make or break a game in basketball to where a guy like LeBron James is going to get fantasized and idolized. A guy like Michael Jordan, same thing. People skip over guys like George Gervin, Magic Johnson, Dr. J. Those are individual guys in individual sports. But and I'm not saying, because again, it's a team sport, but these are 1 guys that have an impact on a game. Tom Brady can certainly impact the game just by himself. If you remove Tom Brady and put any other quarterback in that same situation, they cannot function on that same wavelength to where, with baseball, it's unless you're Randy Johnson, unless you're, Nolan Ryan, it's quite literally impossible to do that. Maybe Aaron Judge. That's not even Barry Bonds would be the best example of that. Barry Bonds in '04 would be the best example of quite literally making that change to a game to where, baseball doesn't have that kind of a factor to it to where you're looking to really tie 2, 3 guys into it. Where if you're going to do a commercial, you may have 4 guys, but those 4 guys are from completely different teams. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that Mookie Betts was best friends with Fernando Tatis and they did commercials together. Like, no, like, I mean, I know of a deal that fell through between 2 guys that share the same name and same birthday. I'm not going to say it, but if you guys know the Oakland Athletics, you can figure that one out. Anyways, my buddy was going to do a Jack in the Box deal, but the other guy that currently plays for the Dodgers is a bag and said, no, he has to make a name for himself before I'm going to go do a meal for it. Yeah, dude, let him build a name for himself and we could go do a deal like that. So there's guys that are even hesitant to do deals like that because it's like, no, who am I? So, I mean, baseball is a relatively hard sport to try to market in a personal aspect unless you are somebody like Shohei Ohtani and you have that leverage already going in. Which, again, if you want my honest opinion on it, American sports need to be like European football, okay? I was about to call it soccer, but again, there's no relegation. There's no type of. I was told that you guys have CEOs out there. You guys are corporations. The soccer teams are corporations.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, bro, John Fisher needs to get the fuck out of here, okay? John Fisher needs to go. But are they going to do that? Because Robert Manfred works for the owner. So again, this closed market is getting even more closed because you have somebody that's trying to tailor to the teams and, oh, well, we could do this for you. But the Steinbrenners are over here crying poor and saying, hey, man, I don't want to do revenue sharing because homie over here is trying to get a losing team to write off as a tax loss and then still make money from the league. How the f does this work? It don't work. But he's doing it, and look where they are. They're in shambles, just like the paper mache Rays.
So
I was going to say, you touched on the point with sort of relegation. The UK, Europe have that. Obviously, outside of the fact that the way baseball's set up, where you've got AAA teams feeding into the MLB teams and AA and so on and so forth. If there was a complete restructure, do you think promotion and relegation would be better for the sport?
Oh, yeah, because you can incorporate all the different independent leagues throughout America. I mean, currently right now, my dad's coaching. He's the manager for the Northern Colorado Owls. I really don't know. They're independent baseball team. So for them, being able to make it to the highest level, they're at like one of the lower levels they're like, you have the top
They're below
4.
single A.
Yeah. Like but again, it gives teams the chance to do it. You see some of these soccer teams go from EFL2 all the way up to the Premier League. And that's where I'm like, again, they don't do that in baseball. And it keeps us in this conundrum of what the heck. Like when you posted that Nolan Jones thing today, Jason, I sat there and laughed because I remember when Nolan Jones got traded for Juan Brito. And the only reason I knew that is because Juan Brito's agents reached out to me and I'm like, bro, homie has not stepped foot on big league dirt. Anywho, but yeah, no, I think relegation would be perfect for the sport. I think honestly being able to, because it forces a lot of these owners' hands. It forces people to be good. You can't just sit there and be like, we're just going to be the bottom feeder team and that's it. There's no consequence for it. In soccer, the bottom 3 teams, you gone.
Okay, what do you think about that?
I mean, I want to take a quick step back to the marketing. I will say this. Baseball players have done a better job with marketing themselves lately. And what I mean by this is
Correct.
when you think basketball, Damon said, you think LeBron James, you think of the top players and, they get these shoe deals and they release them. $300 new LeBron shoes. You have lines out the door for them. Like, they're marketed that well that it's like, hey, if you buy these shoes, LeBron James
You
wears
can
them.
play like LeBron.
Yeah, like weird stuff like that. And then you get football players, they wear the sleeves, they got the chains, they got the grills, and it continues to grow. But now with baseball, and I'll be honest, I was against it for a long time, but then when you really think about it, it's like, well, this is promoted by, Ronald Acuna, the Jazz Chisholms of baseball. Like, you have these little kids who have the elbow guards, the shin guards. They have sliding mitts. It's like, yeah, it's overdone, but it's like these kids are watching. I guess you can call them their heroes, and they're like, well, he has it, so I need to have it. So in terms like the owners, the commissioner, absolutely suck at marketing. I'll never give them credit for that. But the players themselves, they're doing great. But I agree, we do need like that top dog. And for a while we had it in Mike Trout, who was just kind of like, I just want to hit baseballs. And
He's a silent hero.
yeah, he's just one of those guys where it's like, hey, Mike, do you want to do like a couple commercials? He's like, baseball.
I was just going to say, I don't think it necessarily was Mike Trout just alone. Again, when we think of the 2 people of that era, who are the 2 rookies that were not? It was Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. You had Mike Trout, the guy you wanted to love and the guy you wanted to root for, and you had Bryce Harper, the guy you wanted to throw your beer can at. Okay? Beer. I need a full one, boss man. Number 3's coming up to hit. I'm going to throw this right at him, okay? 34 is about to get humchucked in the dome ski with my beer, okay?
I got one.
Exactly. Toss me one of them, okay? But that's where I tell you, I feel that right there really made it. You had the good and the bad. And that's where I feel that Mike Trout really did elevate to that level because everything he did a little better than Bryce Harper. And what did Bryce Harper do? charges mounds, does all this stuff. So again, it was so easy to focus to hate on one guy and then like, I love this guy. It's like Michael Jordan and LeBron. What's up, baby boy? I see that.
Don't forget, Bryce Harper, most active ejections in baseball at 21. Next closest is like 11. And on top of that, two-time MVP. So
Banana
it's
bread
not hate.
connoisseur. Banana bread connoisseur.
Yeah, banana bread connoisseur
But
and
like,
latte.
so in terms of baseball, like implementing a relegation type, I mean, Damon said it best. I mean, it'll give the owners something to actually make them try in a way, because like I could give you 3 teams off the top of my head that I could imagine immediately battling relegation this year, and it would be...
Can I try and guess them?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Please.
Yeah, by all means.
Well, White Sox is going to be one.
Yes.
It's going to be one of the Florida teams. I'm going to guess the Rays would be the next one.
Damn.
That's a tough one. No.
No,
All right. I can continue.
Okay, so the Athletics.
truth be told, I have them finishing like second or third in the West. I'll be honest. I think Lawrence Butler.
Right, I was seeing it from a point of the way the entire franchise is run, not with who would be the worst record.
Okay. Yes. I was thinking.
So,
actual record as well. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
in that case, then it's the White Sox, it's the Marlins, and
they just made that trade.
The Rockies.
Yeah, Great City connects. Does not connect with the fan base.
Those would be my 3 teams that would be battling relegation right off the spot. I mean,
the Rockies have a good fan base.
Oh, congratulations.
Fan base,
can they play every position on the field?
Thank you. I mean, my question was, what was up with that Nolan Jones trade? Because, like, wasn't he traded 2 years ago from the Guardians? Last year. Like, I just want to know what.
No, so it was 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Nolan Jones popped off in Colorado last year. I'm sorry, I think it was 2023 popped off. 2024, 2024 was a little iffy, but he wasn't terrible. Like, he was something that Colorado could easily build around. Mike Freeman, on the other hand, has always been like around a 200 flat hitter. He's not bad, but he's not going to give you a 275, 280 bat. But the fact that this was just like a 1-for-1, it's like, hey, you take someone we were going to build around, but we don't want to now, and we'll just take this bench bat that can't hit 200. It's like, okay, I don't want to, like, I'm not going to sit here and start cursing, but what exactly are we doing if we're in Colorado right now? Like,
I don't think they wanted to pay Nolan Jones when it came time.
Like, you
but you
have
don't want to wait
pieces.
until it's time.
Why not wait until the time? Why not see what he does in the season and then flip him at the break? He could be hitting 300 at the deadline.
Like, when have we considered their organization intelligence? They traded Nolan Arenado after signing him to a major 6-figure contract, $100+ million, or 9-figure.
The only reason that I'm not calling them dumb is because they've yet to trade their top prospects in Zach Veen and Chase Dollander. If they trade those two for bits and pieces, then yes, they are the dumbest organization by far. But as long as they still have a couple prospects, then, like, I guess we'll see.
I think the Rockies are in a really, really awkward situation where they are in that division. And, you know, I say it's their own fault. You know, it kind of is what it is. But when you're in a division where even the fourth place team is probably going to be above 500 in a given year, depending on maybe what the Giants depending what the Giants want to do, they know they're never ever going to get into the playoffs with that team. So, you know, I think they've got an exciting young core coming up, and like as we've said from the off, the trade made no sense for the Rockies. They've probably done that just Tovar.
Ezekiel Tovar is going to be someone to build around. Dude, he's incredible.
Yeah, Tovar, Ryan McMahon to an extent, Michael Toglia at first base.
I do like Toglia.
I've got him hitting 30 home runs this year because he actually hit better away from Coors Field last year, and if he had 26. When
Michael Toglia hits 30.
I think he'll get above 30 because I don't think he'll be battling Chris Bryant for that first baseman's job. I think Chris Bryant is now just a DH or an outfielder because he keeps getting hurt. But they've got
or on the IL.
yeah, either or. But so if you're the Rockies owner, you're in a ballpark where it's the hitters friendly ballpark because of the altitude. But you're in that division, you're looking up above, and you've got the Dodgers who are going to be good for the next however many years they're allowed to defer money for. You've got the Diamondbacks, who I think could be the sleeper hit for this season going forward, especially with Corbin Burns. The Padres and the Giants are always going to be solid just because of where they are marketing wise. And the best thing about the Rockies is their mascot. They've got Dinger the dinosaur. I think so. Best mascot.
I love that Triceratops. That thing is so cool.
Number one, you also bite your tongue, Gary. You bite your tongue because the Philly Fanatic is the best mascot in sports. But the dinosaur's incredible.
Yeah. So
hard to argue.
But so maybe they're just making deals that, as you said, maybe they're going to save some money, and that for them is a better business decision because they know from a baseball standpoint, this year isn't their year. Next year probably isn't their year. You're probably looking 3 or 4 years when Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts start to phase out a little bit more. Maybe not Ohtani as much, but Betts and Freeman start to phase out of the Dodgers, and then in 10 years when they're paying $200 million a year to players that don't play on their team anymore. The Diamondbacks, the teams go through cycles, don't they? Padres, I think, are nearing the end of a cycle of being competitive. This summer was a bit of a shock that they didn't do more. But I get why with the ownership and everything. The Giants, I think, are on a bit of a rebuilding year. So maybe they're saying we'll save a bit of money by trading one of them now, and in 3 or 4 years' time, when we get to Tovar and Toglia and Brenton Doyle and McMahon, we'll pay them, we'll back them with some starting pitching, and we'll try and make a run at the wild card.
That's fair. I mean, that's a solid point.
I love how eloquent and how knowledge-ridden you are in this game for being a fan for a little over 2 years.
There's just certain teams I've taken an interest in, and the Rockies are 2 reasons. One is because of the mascot. I love Dinger the dinosaur. I'll back it. I'll back it till the day I die. I think it's the best mascot in baseball, and I know we're going to disagree on that. And number two, I just think
fine. I get it.
It's their ballpark is named after a beer. It's Coors Field.
I mean,
well,
I mean, he's got a point.
Good point.
It's not the best beer, but it's fun.
What about Busch Stadium?
See, it was really nice of him to name it after Michael Busch, the Cubs' first baseman.
Well, I mean,
all right, good comeback.
I mean, speaking of the Cubs, though, I mean, early projections have you guys winning the NL Central. I mean, do you stand with that belief? I mean, like, are there any teams in that division that genuinely worry you this coming year, or do you feel like if we don't finish first, then like I don't know what the hell we're doing?
I mean, that is the sentiment. It's win or bust. As far as teams that scare me, I mean, the Brewers are always going to scare me. They shouldn't have run away with that division last year, but they just played.
No,
they just played to their strengths, and it was 2 or 3 starting pitchers, pitching, and then just running the bases, hit and run. I don't think they had too much power outside of Contreras and Willy Adames, and the only reason why I think the Cubs should win this year is because they've lost Willy Adames, who'll get you 25, 30 home runs, and they've not replaced him. They're just going by committee. I think the fielding won't be a problem. It will be more who's going to give you that power. And you got Christian Yelich, who's injured every other year with his back, and Contreras, who
every other week.
Yeah, I mean, Contreras will get you 20 home runs maybe. So yeah. I'm scared of the Brewers. I always will be. I'm also a bit scared of the Pirates. I know we take the piss, and you make that face because they can't hit. But when you've got a rotation,
I'm just surprised you said the Pirates.
I mean, the Cubs.
Yeah, I was expecting the Reds.
No, I've discussed the Reds at length actually the last couple of weeks, and the signings they've made have been solid but not spectacular. And I think their biggest signing was Terry Francona. Ellie needs to work out how to not strike out, and Hunter Green is obviously a bona fide ace.
Man, that's a fantastic answer. Holy crap.
I don't even think it's a bold take. I think it's true.
It's no.
No,
It's
it's
just
a good take.
it's just an unheard sentence. Like it's an unheard good take. People don't say that.
Yeah, and then I'll touch on the Cardinals, but I can't really talk about them too much because I believe all they've signed. I think they ended up signing. Was it Maton? They got, and that's the only transaction
Phil
they've done in the year.
Maton, yeah.
Yeah, which is
I think that's it.
Pretty sure a lot of Cardinals have done some touching. Oh no, we're not talking about the church.
Good Lord.
So,
I'm
I mean,
not a Cardinals fan at all.
no. Neither am I.
see, you might as well just
I
bleep
can't
that out
stand
too.
them.
But I mean, so you guys obviously got Kyle Tucker, which is a huge grab for this year, and you guys did sign a contract to avoid arbitration. At some point, Kyle Tucker's going to have to get paid. I mean,
He will not be with us.
so this is just a 1 year, like hopefully Cinderella run rental.
I mean, you look at what we gave up, and okay, there's 3 players in that trade. I don't count Hayden Wesneski because he was not great. You've given up Paredes we had him for at least 2 or 3 years of team control at the time. I can't remember what. But the big one is Cam Smith. I mean, he is an outside shot to make the Astros roster. So you've given up a lot. It's win now because Jed Hoyer's in the last year of his contract. And I appreciate that he's actually tried and gone for it, unlike the Cardinals ownership, where they've just gone, we're leaving, we're not going to do anything. The team's not going to be any worse off other than the players would have got older. So he's at least trying something. But I think he's done that purely so he can get a contract elsewhere. So it is this is a 1 year bust. The only thing that might happen is if Tucker doesn't have a good year for whatever reason.
Or he's hurt again.
Yeah, I don't see him not having a good year.
He's too good a hitter.
Maybe he gives Chicago. Maybe he loves Chicago, and he'll go on. I'll give you a little bit of a discount. But I just don't see it. You look at the history of the Cubs over the last sort of 10 years, and the 2 big long-term contracts being Dansby Swanson and Jason Hayward. We don't give out those sort of deals. We probably could. I'm no doubt we've got the money, and we're a big market team in a small market division. But it's just not the way
Top 5 market in baseball.
Yeah, and it's just not what the ownership do. So I think it's a 1 year thing. Slightly did it to appease the fans, and all they'll end up achieving is giving up someone who could be a really good big league player in Cam Smith and piss off Seiya Suzuki for the remainder of his time in Chicago.
Well, I mean, Boston's pissing off Masataka Yoshida right now as they demoted him to AAA, so he has to work on his glove.
They did send him down.
But, I mean, they pretty much said, they pretty much made it known, Yoshida's never going back to the outfield again. And there's no spot on the DH for him because, obviously, with them acquiring Bregman and with the talks of Christian Campbell making the team playing second, that would move Devers to DH. So it's we got a bat, we don't have room for him, but,
I mean, I had the Red Sox down as having the best off-season of...
I think that's fair.
All of MLB, maybe
Agreed.
If you exclude the Dodgers buying everyone, I think...
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah, so they had a hole to fill at third base or in the infield, and they've done that. They had a hole in the rotation. They went and got Crochet. They went and filled the hole, but I think the last sort of couple of weeks especially, Rafi Devers is pissed off. I think there's no 2 ways about it, and that's one of their best hitters. And I think they're also alienating Yoshida. Whether that's for the benefit of the Red Sox as a whole, that clubhouse can't be the nicest place in the world at the moment.
No.
But
it's got to be weird.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing is that the Red Sox just did their, or they might still be doing their Mexico trip, where players go down and do everything. Devers skipped the trip. Devers is I'm not going. You guys brought this on my plate, and now you want me to go to Mexico? No.
Yeah, no, I agree. To an extent, I agree with him. He's right to be aggrieved if he's been promised something. I mean, you look at the stats, and it says Bregman should be, Devers should not be on the field. And I think that's well known, and maybe he's just coming to that realization.
That's generally easily known by everyone. There's a pride factor.
Well, I mean, listen,
too strong.
I don't know about anyone else, but if you paid me $300 million and then said, hey, we just want you to focus on hitting, don't worry about fielding, we got Alex Bregman, no problem, dude. I'll sit on this bench and swing it 4 times a game if you want me to. Like, but at the same
Players don't
point,
affect my swing.
at the same point, it definitely is a respect thing where it's like, hey, we signed you this deal. You're the third baseman for the foreseeable future. It's your spot. You go out and get Bregman, and it brings up the question, like, hey, like, how you feeling about DH? And it's like, hold on, like, you guys didn't talk to me about this. You went out and did it, and now you expect me to just jump off my position? It's like I don't want to do that. And they're like, but like, think about the team. And he's like, here, I am the team. Like, you paid me $300 million. Like,
I'm the face of the franchise, and you didn't talk to me?
Like, no one else on the team is making this money. And they're like, yeah, but like, World Series. He's like, I already got one of those rings, brother. Like, everything else is just kind of a bonus. I don't know. Like, Boston is well built, but I really hope all that stuff that, as you mentioned, like what goes on in the clubhouse and the dugout doesn't affect this team because, you know, now with Garrett Cole out, the Yankees don't look as strong as they did. So it's like,
or Stanton.
This, like, the AL East is almost a division that's fit for Boston to take it. And something so dumb as someone not wanting to move off their position to ruin it, like, that just seems insane. But I mean,
I fully agree. The Red Sox should win this division at this point. The Yankees are hurt. Orioles did nothing to gain pitching. I mean, you let Corbin Burns walk. I don't even know if they offered him a contract.
I think they did. But, you know, with Corbin Burns, he's from Arizona. So they've paid him.
That's a big bonus for him to go home. But it's tough. I mean, baseball's a vicious sport, and a lot of people don't realize it. You can be cast out in a second. The biggest issue is whether the franchise wants to cast you out or the fans.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who's watching this as a British fan who wants to get into baseball, the film Moneyball, there's a scene where I'm going to forget his name, Brad Pitt, when he has to talk to, I can't remember the name of the player, but it's the player that's got like 2 bung knees or something, and it's they sign someone and they end up having to release him, but it's not released. He said, no, we're going to option you down to AAA, and that player knew that he was never coming back to the majors, and it's like, you know, he's done nothing wrong other than be injured, and it's like, well, no, we're tossing you aside, and that's the heartbreak that you're talking about.
Sure.
I forget who that pitcher is.
There were so many names actually involved in that movie, and then so many names that were really not involved in that movie that should have been. Because let's face it, they had 3 aces on that staff. They had the MVP winner, Miguel Tejada, that were not mentioned at all in the movie. Moneyball is a great Hollywood story.
It's a feel-good story.
That's about it.
That's all.
Sure. Great movie. Fun to watch. Really brings the romantic aspect of baseball out. But there's so much that casual doesn't understand about it. And that's baseball.
I actually had that argument with someone too. They were like, Moneyball is the best sport movie, hands down. I was like, it's a great movie, but there is way too much information that they don't talk about. And he's like what? I was like, the fact that they had a dominant pitching staff and they had the MVP. But, you know, that's for another day. So, but I mean, Gary, we're less than a week away from the regular season starting. And last week we talked about, you know, like what we think could happen this upcoming year. But I want to get your opinion. Like, what's your hot take for the 2025 season?
That's a good question. If you asked me a month ago, my hot take was the Red Sox would win the AL East. I don't think it's as hot a take now.
No.
I mean, my hot take is that I guess the Diamondbacks will overcome. I think the Diamondbacks will win the National League. I don't want them to, or at the very least, they will fight the Dodgers the entire way.
Damn. If we can get the
That is a
Snakes
hot
versus
take.
the Dodgers, that would be awesome.
And
But that would suck as a
I-
Phillies fan because now I know we're eliminated.
Gary, I don't know if you remember Dave Roberts last year when I think it was game 2 of the World Series against the Yankees. He goes, we already played our World Series against the Padres.
Yeah.
That was our World Series.
Yeah.
So it truly means that the Dodgers didn't feel the Yankees were competition at that point.
I don't think
And they weren't.
I think they had a harder challenge with the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Mets, realistically, last year, Lindor, yes, Alonso, maybe they didn't have the superstars compared to the Yankees or even the Dodgers themselves. The Mets were just a team of vibes, and Grimace and fucking Hawk Tuagal and everything in between just catapulted them.
Oh, you get it. You get it. You get it. Yes. You understand this game.
You know, that ultimately that's what got them to where they were, and they just, they weren't the Dodgers. That's why they lost. But they put up a good fight. And yeah, I'll go back, like the Diamondbacks this year, I think they led the league in runs scored and were up there in home runs. They were 1 or 2, either them or the Dodgers. What were they missing? Starting pitching. Yes, you got Zach Gallen, but who's supporting Zach Gallen? They're Charlie Moore was at the Braves. They didn't have a bona fide ace. Like, Zach Gallen's a good, in my eyes, at number 2, number 3 starter. I don't.
There's still Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, Merrill Kelly's still there. They've got Brandon
Yeah.
Pfaadt, who is really good, is always very good against the Cubs and then average against everyone else. It makes no sense.
He's very young still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
He's green.
Yeah, I think Eduardo Rodriguez as well, who I don't know too much about. But what they were missing was a
flash in the pan.
Yeah. But what they were missing was a bona fide ace. And
Absolutely.
they went and got Corbin Burns. And Corbin Burns for the Orioles last year was a one-man team at times. My co-host, Dan, massive Orioles fan, always...
Also a Mets fan, so I don't like him, but it's cool.
He's got
no offense, Dan. Whatever.
American and a National League team, it's just vibes. But he will always hark on about that playoff appearance where he pitched 8.8 in a third innings of 1-run ball. And the Orioles just decided to do a Cubs and not hit. And ultimately, they lost that series to the Royals. Like, they have signed...
They scored 2 runs that entire series.
Yeah.
One.
They scored 1 run.
Yeah, it was 1 run that entire series. And, I mean, honestly, if Corbin Burns got a chance to bat, he probably would have put up 4. Like, the dude was just that good.
Yeah.
Like, he was baseball for that team. Everyone else kind of went, I'm tired.
Yeah, and so the Diamondbacks have gone out and filled that. It's the same with the Red Sox, as I said earlier. They had a massive hole they needed to fill. They went and probably got the best starting pitcher they could have. Maybe Sasaki will be great in 5 years' time, but a great, what you're going to get with Corbin Burns. And I think they can challenge the Dodgers and push them all the way to the National League West. I would love it for the Diamondbacks to win the NL West.
I would love that too.
The one thing I think that's crazy that often is forgotten. Last year, the Diamondbacks and the Rangers both underperformed like crazy. Now, whether due to injuries, whether just bad luck, like those are 2 teams that
sophomore slumps
that I think are going to rebound and rebound hard. Like, there's no reason
be a big player this year.
There's no reason why the Diamondbacks should not finish second or make a hard enough push to finish first. The Rangers should win the AL West without
100%.
any type of problem. And it was almost weird watching the Rangers win the World Series because you're like, wow, this is a good team. And then they only finished a couple games above 500, and it's like, this team was not that good.
Last year. Everyone was hurt for that team.
It's just crazy how baseball works sometimes. Like, you win the World Series, and then you finish 3 games above 500 with almost the same exact team.
If the Dodgers fancy doing that this year, that'd be great.
I'm fine with it.
I would put all my chips on black for the Dodgers to have a couple injuries and finish like 84 and give me like a nice little fucking 70.
So we're coming up to the close. I have 2 great questions for Gary, but also I want both of your guys' takes because Damon, I don't think we've ever asked you, and Jay, it's been well over a year since I asked you. Gary, we'll start with you. Being that you're new to this game, Do you or have you ever fantasized about what song you would pick for your walk-up song?
I have. Um,
Okay.
I'm just stalling because I can't remember the name of the song. A good one for me is a song I really like actually. Is "Divine Sorrow." It's by Wycliffe Jean and Avicii.
Wyclef Jean.
Yeah, and
Okay.
just the chorus of it just goes hard. So
All right.
that would probably be more either that or because I know Wycliffe Jean's been in a little bit of trouble in his life. Dizzy Rascal Bonkers. I don't know if that's made it over to America, but we're talking sort of 2000 London hip hop artists. Just like it's just a song that it's just you just jump up and down to it.
All right. Being that you mentioned London hip hop artists, real quick. Do you vibe with Ren?
Not really.
Okay. All right. Enough said. All right. That's cool. Damon, what about you, buddy? What's your walk-up song? What was your dad's number one?
My dad's very first was Without Me, and then one of his favorites was Without Me by Eminem. But if you had to ask me, what am I doing?
Barbie Girl by Aqua, right?
Nah, dude. I'm probably doing Titanium by David Guetta and Sia. You know, I gotta let them know I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose.
Hey,
But, I just go
hey,
back to that.
stop. That was almost copyright infringement. You can't do that. That sounded
You
too
really
much
can't
like the
do that?
song.
Yo, I
No,
was about to.
you just
Did you
sounded
sing
just
that
like.
song? Honestly,
I may have, you know what I mean? Like, I did voice acting when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys ever
Of
saw the
course you
Jimmy
did.
Neutron. Yeah, dude, the Jimmy Neutron thing, animated movie. I was the chubby fat kid that was like, I miss my parents, you know?
And and so we were gonna see who could eat the most cotton candy. And I won. I want my mommy.
Definitely cranked that out of a 6-month-old Damon, but that's all right, brother. You know, my parents have been making money off of me since I was a baby. You know, I came out the womb, they said money maker right there, cash cow. I was gonna say, you just gotta have something that's really gonna hype up the crowd. Cause I think it was Adley Rushman or one of the lookalikes that plays for the Orioles talking
All
about
of them.
having. Yeah, they all look the same. They come from the same factory, but they have their walk up song is "Sweet Escape" by Gwen Stefani and Akon, and the crowd
Great
just
song.
So good.
gets with it. You gotta listen. I am one with the crowd, so when I'm walking up and I hear that crowd going, "I'm bulletproof," oh yeah, I'm going in there and swinging at everything, baby. Listen, put me in bottom 9, down 3. Hey, I could go in with 2 strikes on me, baby. As long as I got that song and about 30,000 fans going crazy, maybe 10,000 of them are drunk. Okay? This is literally amplified up to here for them.
Yeah.
I'm going nuts. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you. You need something for the fans.
All right, Jay. You hit me with yours because I think last time you said yours was. No, I don't remember. That was
I would
well over a year ago.
I would either go. I have two of them. One would be for the fans. The other one would be because I love it. The one for the fans would be "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees.
All right.
that would go
Number
hard.
two for me would be "Faint" by Linkin Park. That's
All right.
my
Didn't realize you
song.
were a Transformer, but all right.
Yo, don't ever diss Faint like that ever in your life, brother.
I'm not dissing Fate. I'm dissing Michael Bay because of how much he loves Linkin Park.
But no, I would definitely walk out to the Bee Gees during like the playoffs. Bomb of the Ace, "Staying Alive" kicks on.
Dude, solid.
Yeah, give me the vibes. And then I just
I mean,
go down on 3 straight strikes from like Bruce Dark Gratterall.
yeah, you're just gonna stare at them and be like, oh, I should have swung.
I'm like, oh boy, best of luck.
One sport that's really good for walk on theme tunes is darts. So the pub
Darts?
game.
What?
So as silly as it sounds, so it's very big over in the UK. Kind of like UK, the Dutch are really good at it, like really, really weirdly good at it. And they like the World Championships. They sell out. It's a 3,000 seater venue, and they'll sell it out for 30 days around Christmas and New Year's. And the current fan favourite is a player called Stephen Bunting, and his walk-on theme tune is Titanium. So he'll walk onto the stage, and I just wanted to mention it because it was brought up. He'll walk onto the stage, and it'll all be fine. So they sort of walk. They have their own little entrance through the crowd. So start half in the crowd, walk all the way down, get up on the stage, and then some of them will play to the crowd. So some of them do dancing, but Stephen Bunting, who looks a bit like Peter Griffin from Family Guy. So if you look him up after this, exactly the same. But look up one of his entrance tunes, and he'll point at the crowd, and he'll go, when he goes, "I'm bulletproof," he'll like point at himself, because his nickname is also the Bullet, which is perfect for the theme tune.
That's
so
awesome.
if you,
But you are not lying.
nope.
Yeah, he does look like Peter Griffin. I looked him up too.
Yeah, so I'd say
That's
it's
what I just
more
went and did,
iconic.
and that's just incredible.
If you really wanna like it's honestly up there with like wrestling entrances. Some of them are just stupid.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I'm watching some darts compilations after this. Get me fired up.
So, just like Jay said, let me give my 2 songs before we jump out. So, just like Jay said, it's 2 songs. I got Refused, New Noise.
Banger.
Love that song. Thank you, Jay. And then, hands down, this is the one that gets the crowd going, gets the people going. Chaperone Pig Pony Club. Hell yeah. I am rocking that till the day I die. That song
Bet you
gets
would.
me hyped. Yeah. Don't you dare.
I'm not saying anything.
Oh, so much fun. Yeah, you better not. Mr. BG.
Staying alive, baby. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, nothing. Stay healthy. So, all right. My final question for Gary. What city or stadium would you most like to visit?
Are we talking about purely baseball, or I guess we're talking about?
It could be baseball. You can go anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll keep it to baseball. I've done Wrigley Field and I've done Fenway, so I'll cross that. I can cross them off the list.
Fantastic. Fenway's fantastic.
Yeah, it's its own little world, isn't it? Drinks are it's like $9.50 for a bottle of Sam Adams though, which is a robbery. But
Don't come to
that's an
Philly.
argument for another day. I'm torn.
No, we'll drink in the parking lot first.
Always got to do that. I'm torn between 2. I'll keep it to baseball. I'm torn between 2 stadiums for similar reasons, and that's Oracle Park in San Francisco and PNC in Pittsburgh, mainly for the backdrops. So obviously San Francisco, McCovey Cove right next to it, just looks beautiful. The weather's always going to be decent over there. And then PNC just for the Allegheny and the Yellow Bridge in the background. So those are the 2 baseball
Incredible.
stadiums. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, those are the 2.
Jay and I have been
I'll
saying
text.
forever we'd love to take a trip out to PNC. It's in our state, so it's not far. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's an 8-hour drive for us.
You can do that in a day, there and back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't recommend
Well,
it, but
it'd be an overnight trip.
Well, I think it's time to call in the closer. Time to finish this off. But, I mean, Rich, I think you hit it pretty well with our final points being walkout songs. I mean, I think that's a good way to close it. But, I mean, obviously, thank you to Gary from A Brit on Baseball. You can follow him on Instagram. You'll obviously see his tag sliding through his YouTube. And as always, we are Drunks on the Pond. You know me, Jay. That's Richie Six Beers. That's D-City Damon.
T-Pay.
D-Pine.
Z, I need you to do me a favor, baby, and hit that music. It's time to get the hell on out of here. Peace.